De Horeca-app Kennisbank.
Hospitality as a profession. Someone who starts a catering company, or starts working in it, does not do this just for fun, but primarily to provide for himself. Getting guests into a catering company is therefore an absolute necessity, because it is they who take care of the company's income, the entrepreneur, and the employees. Once guests arrive, everyone in the company should strive to make them as comfortable as possible. Because when guests leave the company satisfied, they are more willing to come back or recommend the company. If that happens, another contribution is made to the income and thus to the survival of the company. We have learned from research that guests leave a business satisfied if the visit has met their expectations in every way. In other words, if the guest's demand and the company's supply are optimally matched, the guest is satisfied. This is never achieved through intuitive actions of the entrepreneur and his employees. On the contrary, a deliberate approach is necessary. In order to be able to do this and to be able to provide hospitality professionally, it is necessary to know more about guest needs and the company's offerings. Of course, guests come to hospitality establishments to eat, drink or sleep, or in other words to satisfy their needs for food, drink and or sleep. We call this need primary needs. After all, no one can do without food, drink or sleep. However, if this were the only reason for guests to visit hospitality establishments, there could never be many hospitality establishments in the Netherlands. After all, most of us eat, drink and sleep at home. For example, let's consider why young people go to clubs. Don't fast just because they're thirsty, because the fridge at home is much closer and cheaper. Also probably not for the music that is played, because they can also listen to it on Spotify. No. The main reason to go is to meet other people and have a nice evening. They go to satisfy their need for contact and sociability. We call these needs social psychological needs. Goals. Apart from satisfying their needs, guests always come with a specific purpose. We call this objective after a hospitality company. For example, let's look at a sales representative. In the afternoon, for example, he visits a restaurant with a customer of his who is about to place a large order. During lunch, the last details have to be arranged. The intention of the representative is to placate his customer through lunch and thus win the order. In the evening, the representative enters the restaurant again. He is alone now, the order has been received and his customer is back at home. However, the representative lives far away and has more business to do in town the next day. He therefore sleeps in a hotel in the city. In addition to his evening meal, the representative now comes with the intention of having a chat with his host in between. Because a whole evening alone in a hotel room is not everything. Twice that day the representative visited the restaurant, both times, however, with a different objective. Resume. The guest's question consists of needs and objectives. We have explained this using examples. The example of the representative also shows that the same person can have different needs and objectives. Offer of the company. Product. In the first place, a hospitality company naturally offers very tangible products, such as food, drinks, but also beds. Accommodation facilities must also be included in the product. For example, a meeting room or flexible workplaces, but also a shoe shine machine or swimming pool in a hotel. Behavior. The products that a company supplies must be handed over to a guest in one way or another. Usually this is done by the employees of the company. The behavior he exhibits while handing over belongs to a company's offer. This may seem a bit odd, we will therefore explain it with an example. For years, a regular went to the same cafe every Friday after work. He had a drink there, but mostly chatted with the bartender of the cafe. They usually talked about the football matches that would be played in the Premier League the following Sunday. On a certain Friday, the bartender told me that he was going to emigrate. Obviously there would be a new bartender. Although the regular guest did not like this, he could always have such a nice chat with the first bartender. He went to his cafe on the first Friday after his departure. However, when he wanted to have a chat with the new bartender, he said he was not interested in football and was too busy. The regular guest has paid for his order and gone home. He never returned to his cafe because the behavior of the new bartender had nothing to offer him. Environment. The third, and also the last element of a hospitality company's offer is the environment. By this we mean in the first place the hospitality company itself, the building, the decoration, and the inventory. We will not go into that because everyone knows that a luxury restaurant looks different from a fast food restaurant, such as McDonald's. By environment, however, we should also understand the fellow guests, who are usually anonymous. We can imagine that it seems a bit strange that fellow guests are an element of the offer of a hospitality company. The example below will however clarify a lot. A couple is out shopping in a neighboring town for the day. At a certain point they pass a coffee shop, where they go in for a cup of coffee. Once inside, the other visitors turn out to be predominantly alternatively dressed youngsters. Because they had already ordered before they noticed, they finished their coffee, but they had never done it as fast as that time. The atmosphere created by their fellow guests made them quickly leave the coffee shop. Resume. As we have now seen, the offer of a hospitality company, and that applies to all catering companies, consists of P. Product, food, drinks, beds, accommodation facilities, B. Behavior of the employees, and of course also the entrepreneur. E. Environment, the company itself and the fellow guests. These three parts together form a formula, the hospitality formula. There is a hospitality formula if P, B, and E are coordinated, are typical for a certain type of business, and are clearly recognizable. For example, the hospitality formula of a fast food restaurant, the food and drink, the behavior of the hosts, the company's decoration, and the audience that visits the company, is completely different from that of a luxury restaurant. If the host, in his company clothing, of the fast food restaurant were to be placed in a luxury restaurant, and vice versa, it would immediately become apparent that something is not right in the hospitality formula. The hospitality model. In order to show how hospitality is created, supply and demand are matched, the Hoogere Hotel School in The Hague has developed the following scheme. This is called the hospitality model. On the right we see the guest who enters a catering company with a certain expectation, demand. We can see what the expectation of the guest is based on needs and objectives. On the left we see what the hospitality company's offer consists of, the product, the behavior, and the environment. If the offer meets the expectations of the guest in all respects, then the guest is having a good time, or he experiences the company as hospitable. If expectations are not met even in one aspect, then there is a negative experience. Let's go back to our earlier examples. When the first bartender of the cafe emigrated and was succeeded by a new one, the offer of this cafe no longer met the expectations of the regular customer. Because his need was not so much to have a drink, but to talk about football. A change in one element, the B, of the hospitality formula turned the cafe into a company that did not meet his expectations. When the couple entered the coffee shop, they probably expected to find anything but alternatively dressed young people. This disappointing element, E, of the hospitality formula will undoubtedly make the couple decide never to go to that coffee shop again. One word from the hospitality model has not yet been discussed: money. In the introduction we have already established that a hospitality company, just like all other companies, is set up to provide an income to the entrepreneur and his employees. The guest will therefore have to pay a certain price for the hospitality provided. This price also influences the hospitality experience of the guest. Is that more than the offer led him to expect, then the, literally and figuratively, last experience with the company is negative. It was nice there, but expensive.